stabilize the region as Libya and Egypt disintegrate into chaos. John Bound for INFOWARS.com.
Well, we told you how last week Facebook was censoring one of our articles on the Pope kid being nothing more than a PR stunt. Well, turns out that is exactly true. Facebook is actively censoring posts that are anti-immigration. Now, Mark Zuckerberg was caught on a hot mic saying that Facebook will censor anti-migrant posts. Now, he was discussing the censorship of anti-migrant posts at the United Nations Development Summit on Saturday. He was speaking with the German Chancellor Angela Merkel. Now, Merkel confronted Zuckerberg on these social media posts that were critical of the wave of Syrian refugees entering Germany. And after he was asked about Facebook's efforts to curtail speech, Zuckerberg stated, "We need to do some work," confirming that he'd already started looking at ways to hinder comments in opposition to Merkel's immigration stance. She said, "Are you working on this?" "Yeah." And so then, of course, at that point, their microphone was cut. So in response to this shocking revelation caught on a hot mic, media outlets like Bloomberg immediately leapt to the defense of Facebook, insinuating that any critique of the German government's response to this migrant crisis would be racist and xenophobic. And indeed, that's exactly the same sort of rhetoric we're hearing there in Germany, this xenophobia. If anyone posts this, they're saying that Germans could actually have their children snatched from them if they post anything on Facebook of the sort. Opposing influx of refugees puts people at risk of being fired as well. And this is according to the German Lawyers Association. And it was written in an article entitled "Racism in Parenting: Threatening Loss of Custody," and it outlined the conditions under which xenophobic Facebook posts could lead to parents being targeted. So this is the issue with an all-seeing government. No thoughts are allowed that are not part of the collective, that are not going to further the agenda of the state. That's the big issue with having your every move tracked by the government. But you know what? It's no better over here. Let's take a look at what's going on in our schools. States using taxpayer funds to implant 10-year-olds with birth control. You heard it right. And there's actually no parental consent that is needed. So this is taxpayers in the state of Washington funding this disturbing practice of fitting extremely young public schoolgirls with implantable, long-lasting birth control devices. And this is according to documents that were obtained by Judicial Watch. And these IUD implants are being administered at school-based clinics. So no wonder trust in the mainstream media has hit rock bottom, and a record number of Americans now believe Congress is corrupt, and specifically their own member of Congress, because people realize we are all being controlled by corrupt evildoers.
Brain Force is here. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been on this the last few months. You probably noticed I've been more crazed, more focused, less brain fog, more energy, more special reports, and it's because of Brain Force.
One of the worst things with most energy products is it's not sustainable, right? You're gonna crash and gonna feel really bad afterwards. This has a bunch of different antioxidants and compounds and polyphenols.
Everybody's on these drugs to knock their brain out because the brain's so fried.
We kept changing this formula over and over and over again until it became sort of a grand puzzle. For example, the L-theanine inside of it, that is activated by the different compounds in the yerba mate that we put inside of it as well. This just increases the compounds you already have.
This is what you're actually designed to run on.
Exactly.
It's kind of like a car will run on one form of junkie gas, but it runs really good on what it's designed for. You will find Brain Force, Survival Shield X2, and other game-changing products at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
I want more candy. I want more video games. Line.
And it's that type of behavior that spurred me to do the research to develop a true nutraceutical formula that was designed to smooth out and help children focus. All of our children are hit with modern mind control. Television, music, fast food, GMOs, sugars, you name it. Young humans have not yet developed their nervous system and are being hammered daily by globalist concoctions. It's no wonder they can't focus and calm down and then are put on dangerous psychotropic drugs. Working with my team, we set out to find the best formula with the highest quality ingredients that children would actually like and take. We worked with the leading manufacturer in nutritional supplements that are safe for children to bring you the most affordable and powerful calming formula out there. Introducing Child Ease with herbs and calming extracts like chamomile and lemon balm and essential nutrients that taste great. Obtain your Child Ease today at InfoWarsLife.com. That's Child Ease exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com. Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams a piece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult. It's got the GABA, so it would probably cost $50 to take all this as separate pills. It's $19.95. You take one or two of these, and it just is really clean, restful sleep is what the reviews are. It's what I've experienced, and it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com, or call 888-253-3139.
This is a protest, and this is a riot. If you can't tell the difference, then you are part of the problem. InfoWars.com.
I have a dream.
Well, a lot of people were very excited with the Pope's visit last week, but some people were not so thrilled. And that would be the survivors of sexual abuse there, not only with the Catholic Church, but other victims of sexual abuse by the clergy. Now, a lot of stories coming out last week with the Pope actually meeting victims of sexual abuse. He met with some survivors on Sunday at a seminary just outside there in Philly, and he met with about 5 individuals who had been sexually abused when they were minors, 3 women and 2 men. They were not named. Now, Pope Francis said, "I am deeply sorry for the times when you or your family spoke out to report the abuse, but you were not heard." And he also went on to say, God weeps for sexual abuse of children. And it goes on to say that those who have survived this abuse have become heralds of mercy. We owe them our gratitude. But this really was not doing it for these victims of sexual abuse. Obviously, they're thankful for that apology, but it hasn't gone far enough. They're saying, I challenge the Pope to name a single step he's taken to actually do something about it. In 2014, he was quoted as saying that 2% of the Catholic clergy are pedophiles. So that's about 8,000 members that are still there being protected by statute of limitations that allows them to continue this abuse. So now we spoke with some members of SNAP, which is an organization that works to help survivors of this institutional sexual abuse. Now, this includes the Boy Scouts of America. This includes survivors from like the Penn State scandal, as well as many other church groups. It's not just the Catholic Church where these types of things are going on, but they want to work to expose the predators and those who shield them. And of course, that was something that we really didn't hear about here with the Pope's visit. Maybe here at InfoWars you heard about that, but that was really all that the Pope did to address these victims. Now, we spoke with Barbara Doris. She's a SNAP outreach director, and she is herself a survivor of childhood clergy abuse. And she is calling for reform. She's saying the statute of limitation laws stand in the way of justice. They need to repeal these laws so that child sex victims can expose these priests and others, but the Catholic Church is fighting tooth and nail against these bills. And indeed, she's calling out the Pope himself, saying, what are you really doing to help these victims? Because they don't need healing, they need justice.
I'm Barbara Doris, D-O-R-R-I-S, and I'm the Victims Outreach Director for SNAP. SNAP is Survivors Network of Those Abused by Priests. It was founded in Chicago in 1988, and at that point, the founder, Barbara Blaine, thought there were a few dozen clergy sex abuse survivors, and she was reaching out to them. Well, through the years, we've grown to 22,000 members. We have members in almost every country in the world. We no longer just have members that were abused by priests. We have members from the Presbyterians, the Baptists, the Mennonites, the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Boy Scouts, from teachers from places like Penn State. And we've just welcomed anyone who suffered abuse in an institutional setting and tried to offer them resources, offer them peer support, and to protect children. 95% of SNAP is peer support groups. It is helping victims find resources, helping them understand they're not alone. And then there's that 5% you always see, and those are the activists, people who are out trying to get laws changed, trying to raise awareness. So we're a mixed bag. And I think most of us come to SNAP. Most of us come to SNAP because we want to protect others. Protecting others is healing for us, and it's certainly what brought me to SNAP. I was abused by a priest as a child, but as a teacher in my parish grade school, I caught the associate pastor in the act of molesting a child. I know he's been caught 4 times, and yet he's still in a parish today. And I came to SNAP because nothing I could do would get him arrested, would get him removed, would in any way protect kids. So SNAP to me has been life-saving because it helps me protect others, and that's really helped me move forward. I'm about 6 years old in this picture, and that was the first time I was raped.
I'm Becky Ianni, and I'm the Washington, D.C. and Virginia SNAP director. I came to SNAP because I was abused as a child from the ages of 9 to 11 by a priest in Alexandria, Virginia, who was a newly ordained priest. And he came to our house and he kind of adopted our family. You know, he ate dinner with us, he went on vacation with us. He became like a member of the family, and I loved him and I adored him. And he used that to start abusing me. And I didn't tell anyone until the age of 48, because he told me I'd go to hell, and also because I was raised Catholic. And the nuns had told me that he was sent by God. And so I thought he was sent by God to punish me, and that I was a bad person, that I was a dirty little girl. And so I never told anyone until the age of 48. So when I finally told my husband, I had all these mixed emotions. I felt guilty for telling on a priest. You know, I was crying all the time. And so I decided to go to the church. And I thought, they're gonna help me. They're gonna be compassionate. They're gonna make me feel better. And so I went to the church, and the first priest I spoke to, I cried for over an hour telling him my story. And I told him that I felt like I was going to hell, and that I didn't think God loved me anymore, and that this was my fault, and I was a bad person. And at the end of that meeting, I didn't get any reassurances from him. And I felt so abandoned that I pulled away from the church, and I also pulled away from God. And at that point, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I was crying. I didn't want to live anymore. I thought, you know, I don't have the church. I don't have anybody. I don't have anybody telling me that I'm okay. So another victim of my perpetrator suggested that I call David Glahesi at SNAP. At the time, I think it was the executive director. And he listened to me for over an hour, and everything I said, he said, "Oh yes, that's okay. I felt that way too." And for the first time, I felt normal. I felt compassion. I felt that somebody cared. And so at that point, I started going to support groups. And then as I began to heal, I wanted to be that person on the other end of the line for someone else, because I felt like David, you know, he and my family saved my life. They changed the direction of my life, and so did SNAP. Gave me a confidence I never had. I felt like a good person. I wanted to do that for someone else, so that's kind of how I came to be a leader in SNAP. This Pope has done what Pope Benedict did. He said a lot of things. You know, he said we're not going to tolerate bishops abusing. We're not going to tolerate priests abusing. That how sad he is that victims were abused and that children were harmed. But the key word is he said. And, you know, he needs to do. And that's the thing I think we're missing.